done one of these in a while. Um, yeah, so not really making a video update on my life necessarily. Just wanted to share a story from a couple of days back. Um, I was coming back from lunch back to Impact here, and on my way here, as I was passing the intersection and Milliken and Cedar, there was a truck trying to take a left on the intersection, and of course, there was oncoming traffic, so the truck wasn't able to take the turn. And as I passed, I kind of looked at the driver, and the driver kind of threw the hands up, like, another car. And I was like, oh, that kind of sucks, it's going to be a pain in the butt. And I pulled around, got into the parking lot, and I looked back, and the truck was still there. And I was like, oh, I guess, there's a lot of traffic. And the truck was, like, pulled in halfway into the intersection, and then the light, during this whole thing, and so the light turned red. And normally when people are like halfway in the intersection, they're like, all right, whatever, and they just kind of continue and they take their left, or they tend to pull back. And this truck kind of just stayed where it was, like halfway intersection, which I was like, well, that's kind of sketch. And the cars were kind of driving around it, things like that. And so I was like, oh, that's weird. So I got out of my car and I was looking at this truck, and still there. And then the light turned green, and the vehicles are coming, and so it's still waiting. And then there was a period where there was no cars coming, and I was like, oh, okay, so no oncoming traffic, maybe they can go now. And the truck continued to just kind of hang out there, and I was like, all right, something's not okay. And so I kind of stepped out into the sidewalk a little bit, and I kind of peered into the driver's seat, and there was a lady in there, she was, and just kind of frantically looking around, like trying to get the truck started, and I was like, oh, maybe the truck, something happened, it stalled. So I went up and, worried, I was like, knocked on the window, and I said, hey, is something wrong? Do you need help? And she was calling somebody at that time, and she looked at me a little bit panicked and was like, yeah, I think my truck died. And I was like, well, okay, well, do you have jumper cables? Do you need to jump it? And she was like, I don't know. And she was just kind of panicked and she was an older lady, probably in her 60s, and it's just poor thing, just freaking out and just kind of worried, and, the truck was all beat up, and the little dog was, like, freaking out in there, too, and so I was like, well, you want to try to throw it on neutral, maybe we can get the truck out of the intersection at least, there was cars kind of lining up behind her, and they would drive around her, and nobody was really stopping to help her, and I was kind of like, oh, that kind of sucks. It's not fun to be in a state of panic and a little bit scared, and nobody's really stopping to help you out. So I was like, hey, let's throw it in neutral, and I'll do my best to push the truck, and we'll hopefully get into the parking lot, which wasn't that far. It was, like, right there. And so she's like, okay. And so she threw her truck in neutral, and, like, I started pushing this truck. And as it turns out, trying to push a Chevy pickup on my own is a very difficult endeavor in flip-flops. I managed to move it like maybe a half a foot to a foot. I was surprised that it even moved, but it moved, and I was thinking, okay, well, this is going to take a while, but we're going to get this truck in the parking lot. And as I was struggling to push it again, I was like trying to direct her to like turn the wheel, and then the truck would roll back to where it was. And so as I was pushing it the second time, this lady who was walking in the crosswalk was like, hey, do you need help? And I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. And so she like ran over and was like assisting me too. And so we were both pushing this truck, kind of moving a little bit better. And then thankfully another two gentlemen showed up. And at that point we were really moving the truck. We're moving it back out of the intersection, out of the middle of the intersection. And then like, another gentleman came out of his car, thankfully, and it was like, hey, I'll guide you. So he started guiding us, and then we managed to turn the truck in, and we brought it into the parking lot, and everybody, we all high-fived each other, and they all went on the merry way. After which, it was just me and this poor lady, and she was like panicked and like was scared and was like kind of crying, and I was like, okay, just calm down, breathe. Which kind of sucks because the air was terrible and it's been all smoky here, and so I was like, hey, so my name is Dip, what's your name? And she was like, my name is Elise, and she was like crying, and she was like, I was so scared and panicked, and I was starting to get anxious because all these cars are lining up, But she was like, but thankfully nobody honked. I was like, yeah, thankfully nobody honked. But it was just kind of a bummer because this poor lady was stuck in the intersection. The truck was dead, and nobody was really helping her. And I was just like watching it for a second because I didn't know what was going on. And I would think to myself, like, man, what if I just gone inside? Like, I hadn't even paid attention. This lady would probably been stuck there for a while, which really sucks. And as panicked as she was, like, it kind of brought me back to my dad's heart attack when I was giving him CPR in the back seat on an intersection, similar to this. And I remember just thinking, like, man, I wish somebody would come help me. Like, somebody would just come and I don't know what you can do in every situation, but just anything. And I remember looking up and making eye contact with people, and they just kind of looked at me, and sometimes I feel like they had a feeling of like, oh, maybe I should check. And then there was a barrier, and they weren't able to cross that barrier for whatever reason, right? And I feel like a lot of us kind of get stuck there, where there's like something you should do, and for whatever reason, it's difficult to make that leap until like somebody else makes that leap. It's a weird kind of a thing, and I just thought, like, man, that really sucks, And so I'm glad that I stayed and looked at this truck and kind of was like suspect about what's going on. And again, like I talked to her and I said, hey, okay, well, why don't you calm down? And she'd called, like, she needed to call her insurance, and like a police officer came and they were talking, and afterward he's like, well, we can try, we look for some auto body shops, hopefully you get it fixed. And then he's like, all right, well, I gotta go to another accident, but I'll come back and check on you if you still need help. And so he left, and I was like, she was kind of panicking and like a little bit more calm now, but she was gonna call the auto body shops, and she was like searching and still kind of panicked, and her truck was kind of beat up, so it's not like she had air AC, and the truck wasn't on, so it didn't matter anyways. And so I was like, well, why don't you come inside, where it's air conditioned and things like that. And so she was like, okay, so we got her in, and she had her service dog with her, and got her connected to the Wi-Fi, looked up, the auto body shop around the corner, called Geico, and I told her, I'm like, you just stay here as long as you need. And she was like so grateful that anybody came and helped. She's just ecstatic about the fact that nobody honked at her. And I was just like, man, I'm just glad people came and helped and managed to get the truck out of the way. And, she ended up staying here until the tow truck came. Like, she called insurance, they got her tow truck out. And I was coaching some kids at that moment. And so I told her, I'm like, if you need anything, just come grab me. And she was, again, just ecstatic about that. And before she left, when the tow truck guy came, she kind of called me, and I said, yeah. And so I was like thinking, man, I really want to give this lady a hug, because that's not fun, And she's trying to get home, and she was like, apparently her home is like an hour away. She's stuck in Beaverton. She doesn't know what this place is about. And so I went up to her, and I was like, all right, well, it looks like the tow truck driver is here. We're going to get your truck, rigged up, and we'll hopefully get you home by tonight. And she was so grateful, and she's like, can I ask if I can give you a hug? And I was like, I was going to ask if I give you a hug. So I gave this lady a hug, never met her, super sweet. I hope her truck got fixed and she managed to get home. I can't fit everything I want to say and we talked about into this one video just because it would take forever. But yeah, just want to share that story and encourage you guys that, if you see something going on and somebody looks like they need help, that thing in your head that tells you, hey, maybe I should help, listen to that thing, that voice, and just do it, right? A lot of times we kind of wait for inspiring news and all that. No, just go help, show kindness, right? Be the catalyst for that kindness. Because again, I think about my own moment when I was in my RAV, and how freaking scared I was, and just thinking, man, anybody. And I had finally one lady came by and was like, do you need help? And it made all the difference. Just to have another person who could just simply be there, it makes a big difference. And so, yeah, roundabout way of saying, be good, help people out. You know, you never know the kind of effect you'll have on them. You know, restore faith in humanity yourself. Don't wait for other people to do it. And again, be the catalyst for kindness. And yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. And yeah, much love, much respect. Till next time. Hopefully I'll do a video update here pretty soon on what's going on in my life. Alright, bye guys.